Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I'm going to talk about the Ultraman collab that has just gone live in North America. So this is a debut event, which means your very first roll will at least be something new and unique. And as a general statement, I like getting new cards because no two cards are perfectly identical, so by acquiring something that is new, it may oftentimes open up opportunities for your monster box to clear different and various content. So for the Ultraman collab, it only costs 6 magic stones, which means you can monster exchange for the 7-star cards with any 5 6-star Godfest exclusives. This makes monster exchanging much more affordable. It gives us an opportunity to actually utilize our 6-star fodder because there's a good chance you may have lots of them just floating around, no real use for them, and you can definitely acquire potentially some meaningful cards this way. In addition to this, the 6-star cards do comprise 23.5% of the rolling pool, and they do have unique situational value, and you have to roll them, you can't monster exchange for them, and at the same time, the 5-star cards, several of them I think do have value, which in turn makes it so I think it's worth rolling in at least a modest amount. Not like crazy hard, but maybe like 5 rolls. That's only 30 stones. It's not that much. In the previous month, we got like 150 odd magic stones. So like magic stones do come in quite quickly. So I think 5, maybe like 7, 8 rolls is definitely justifiable. And with that being said, I want to take a look at the cards individually and utilize the timestamps to find a particular card if you're interested in one thing that you actually rolled. So first things first, I'm going to start with the 5-star cards because I like starting at the bottom in this case here because it will give you an idea of whether or not it's actually worth rolling in, because for the most part, 70+% of the rolls are going to be these cards. So the first one that is unique is Kanagon. I can't pronounce names properly, but they have up to 3 dungeon boost awakenings. There are hardly any cards in this game that actually give that many dungeon boosts. And if you're playing solo mode, you're intermediate button farming or swipe farming, more dungeon boosts means more drop rates, which means less time playing, less stamina use, just a better time all around. And right now, there's like the Hello Kitty series, there's the Greed Dragon. There's not many things that actually have 3 dungeon boosts. And unlike Greed Dragon, this individual here has a much shorter cooldown. And while the active skill doesn't help you like swipe or button stuff faster, you are able to just inherit something on top with relative ease. An 8-turn cooldown is much shorter than Greed Dragon. And for myself, I would be very happy to roll 1 or 2 of these cards. There is nothing wrong with having even 2 of them. And while all the 5-star cards do lack any other evolution form, several of them are unique enough, I feel, overall. And the first one is this individual here, whose name I cannot pronounce. And they're going to follow a template that is similar to many other 5-star cards. And I say that because they will give you rows, and they can have up to 2 blob boost awakenings. And each blob boost awakening grants 12 times personal damage. So 12 times 12, 144 times personal damage. With a reasonably high attack stat, you're going to be dealing monstrous amounts of damage. And where this is valuable is swipe farming builds, because you can potentially utilize a full board changer that makes just only that orb. So for instance, let's say you have a Satan on your team somehow. You use his board changer to have a full board of dark orbs, 30 dark orbs. You swipe that. This individual here is going to benefit 144 times from that and all the rows. Their main attribute will double damage cap, I'm pretty sure, with relative ease. And then their sub-attribute will actually be dealing a meaningful amount as well. So that means you're potentially able to have certain subs dealing way more damage than they should be dealing. And that definitely can open up many opportunities. And this type of card is actually represented in many other colors, like the same style, like this light one here, same main and sub attribute. They're just all going to be useful for that swipe farming basis. And as a whole, this can be meaningful. Going faster is great. Having cards that hit so hard makes your life easier. And that they have at least respectable cooldowns in the sense that it's like 10 turns, and like you can definitely inherit something over top of it. The active skill may not be the greatest, but you inherit something that lets you at least trigger these blob awakenings. So getting 1 or 2 of these for those respective colors is meaningful. So like I said, some rolls are definitely justifiable, especially if you pick up the 5-star cards with the double blob boost awakening. Next is Alien Metron, and they just don't really fit particularly well at this point in time. You could have 4 skill boosts, you have 7, 10 combo, some TPAs. Green, red is, like, I guess, unique colors to cover if you really want to have all attributes for, like, Daytona or some other TPA-oriented team. But I just feel like there's no real use for them at this point in time. Like, I would be kind of awkwardly sad if I did roll one of these individuals. Joe King has 6 skill boosts, which is cool, but they don't have the blob, so that's not as cool. And the active skill is a shield with RCV debuff. Like, I don't foresee a real usage for this individual card unless, like, there's, like, 5-star rarity challenges or things along those lines. It's just a highly situational card that doesn't have anything truly unique, I feel. Ellie King is kind of, again, the double blob card, and there's not much to say beyond, like, it's a double blob card, but on the bright side, they have an active skill that does work. You get to have changing the whole board to hearts, and then you make 13 light orbs in a crescent moon shape. 13 orbs is enough to trigger Blob Awakening, and that's all that really matters in my head, so you can rearrange that crescent moon into, like, rows and make sure you get the blob boost, and then bam, tons of damage when swiping. Alien Baltan, the exact same logic. Double blob, rows, respectably high attack stat. The active skill gives you a 2-turn delay and changes the bottom row to water. 1 row is not enough to get blob, so again, this active is probably going to be inherited over top of just to keep triggering blob style matches. Gamora, again, blob, blob. Like, I feel like a little redundant saying this, but it's important to, like, just say, like, they come in different colors. And the active skill is not going to help you in terms of orb generation, so it just inherits something on top. Zeton has double 10 combo, and you might think, ooh, Blackbird might like that. But you have to look at the active skill. It's a 9-turn cooldown with a 5 times attack buff. You don't need this attack buff. Blackbird already provides attack buffs all the time, so not so great there. And then 2 turns, attribute absorption cancellation. Maybe if you're desperate for attribute absorption cancellation, sure, but, like, I think it's just highly situational. There are much better options available. And then Mother of Ultra and Father of Ultra. Like, Mother of Ultra is a cleric in the sense that it has unmatchable clear, all awoken skill clear, and then a little bit of auto healing, and then huge healing solution, but maybe this is kind of excessive. Like, it's a card with not exceptionally high health, low personal damage, no skill bind resist, not that many skill boosts. I think it's just a low tier cleric, unfortunately. And then Father of Ultra has many VDPs with a blob, so if you have a red blob style team, sure, maybe they can deal meaningful amounts of damage, but it's a movement time buff and a 6 orb generation. Like, it's an okay active, but there's no real great place to utilize Mother or Father of Ultra. I feel like the bottom rarity is really just comprised of double blob cards and the 3 dungeon boost individual. And now we're going to come to the 6-star cards. And all the 6-star cards feature 2 unique forms and a weapon assist alongside of it. So, flexibility there. If you do rolling these cards, there's a good chance you're going to find value. And if you can't use them as subs or leaders, you will definitely want to just slot them in as a weapon assist. So, for Ultraman Gaia, they have double blob, they have rows, they have combo orbs, they have potentially VDP skill boost. Like, you can argue that this can be a Saphira sub in that sense as well. Like, they will be dealing spectacular damage when you don't actually match a VDP, so that gives you a little bit of flexibility there, and for whatever reason that may be. If you want to just make more combo orbs, they will still deal damage, because you make a VDP, you don't get the combo orbs, you do the blob, you do get the combo orbs. The active skill is going to now be kind of convoluted, and this is going to be the train of thought for many of these 6-star cards. They have weird transforming active skills in the sense that they have restrictions when you can use them, and then they have another form when you can use them again. So, on a 10-turn cooldown, the first iteration is if you're on floor 2 or earlier, you get a 4-turn delay. Ooh, that is tremendously spicy. A 4-turn delay with up to 4 skill boosts. That is a meaningful amount of effective skill boost, 8 effective skill boosts. And the best part is, because it's their base skill, you can inherit something over top of it. They don't have to have SDRs. If they get delayed on floor 1, that's okay. It's probably just pushed down into their base active skill. You get this massive delay. So if you can delay, this is definitely a meaningful card overall. And then in theory, their leader skill is actually quite strong as long as you have a healing solution. 16 times effective health is great, but there's no auto follow attack, there's no bonus combos, so I feel like it's just not something that's going to really pan out as much, but it's easy to do. Just blob 9 or more light orbs. For their evolved form, they have double resist, and this is going to be a trend for many of the other 6-star cards having double full resist, which is kind of crazy when I think about it, but they can have up to 4 skill boosts, 7 combo, 10 combo VDP, so meaningful personal damage, high skill boost, double resist, good stuff all around. On a 6-turn cooldown, they give no Skyfalls, replace the whole board, and if you're floor 7 or later, 2 turns of attribute absorption cancellation. With double attribute, with their sub-attribute being light form, it gives them more personal damage when you do match light, so that is a bit of an edge. Where this color absorption comes in handy, I really feel like it's primarily going to be like MD2, and you can make arguments for sure 3 because the faces do absorb various colors potentially at the end, so that could be a bit of a problematic aspect. So it is useful. 6-turn cooldown. It hits something meaningful on top. You're going to be happy there, and then you're able to overcome color absorption and problematic boards. I'm just going to go based off MD2 because I feel like this is a good usage for this card here. If you encounter Indra, Indra's a bit of a problem. Full board of hearts. That's awkward. Encounter Orochi, full locked board. Problematic as well. This board reshuffle can solve that. So situationally, it's only going to work well if there's a need to overcome the color absorption, which again, I feel like it's best in MD2, but it's still meaningful. Strong damage, great resist, and again, if the active skill is going to help you out, it's going to be a meaningful card to definitely run on a given team. But if any of those forms don't sound appealing to you, their weapon assist is interesting. They give you a team HP, team RCV, and then 5 turns of 50% damage reduction, and then changing the whole board to light and hearts. So you're going to oftentimes need a shield in some case. A shield with bulk and recovery is always helpful, and then the board changer may be meaningful alongside of it. But again, I think it's a reasonable strong card for monolight teams. Again, you can't roll these cards. You have to roll these cards, you can't trade for them. Ultraman Ace in their base form has double 7, double VDP, potentially 4 skill boosts. Okay. They have a 4-turn cooldown at the start, and then if you're on floor 1 or earlier, kind of weird, you can't be on floor 0, so just be on floor 1. You can reduce damage taken by 100%. So again, there are instances where you want to stall on floor 1, and 100% damage reduction means you just don't die. That is nice. I can see this being meaningful in addition to utilizing delays even, because if you think about it, if you have a long enough delay or like some haste scattered around, you could use like say a delay at Ultraman Ace, and you get that delay. Say it's a 4-turn delay. 4 turns of delay, not going to die. And then once those 4 turns of delays are up, you're going to get hit. You can use that 100% damage reduction because you're still on floor 1 because I'm assuming you stalled. Gives you some interesting usage there overall. And then when it does transform the active skill, it's a 3-turn cooldown. And then if you're on floor 7 or later, you remove all awoken skill binds, 1 turn of RCV, and then light orbs more likely to appear. If you do have things like Shura, who does clear unmatchable, you can use them alongside of Shura for your mono light teams, and you now have a way to clear Woken Binds and unmatchable in different cards. So flexibility there, and with a 3-turn cooldown, you definitely can inherit something over top of it with relative ease. But Ace's evolution has light, which again, I like for the fact that their sub-attribute will do meaningful damage. And then with 10 combo and potentially 7 with 3 TPAs, they are definitely a viable Daytona sub from just a damage output point of view. Meaningful personal damage, some TPAs. They could have 4 skill boosts instead, so they're reasonable. Not the best personal damage, but reasonable. And then for a 4-turn cooldown, you get to unlock the board, change the far left column to light, and then if you're on floor 6 or later, more light orbs are made. It doesn't solve mechanics, but it does give you orb generation. It does let you overcome lock boards or problematic boards, so it could have maybe some merits there, but I feel like Daytona just has stronger options available. And then for their weapon assist, I think it's pretty cool in the sense that you get 60% blind and 60% jammer. That's a ton of resist right there. And then the active skill gives you 10 turns of light orb skyfalls, and then 2 turns of damage and attribute absorption cancellation. You almost always need to have damage and color, or especially damage absorb, but possibly color absorb as well in basically every dungeon nowadays. So having your absorb cancellation in conjunction with tons of resist is definitely meaningful, and especially if you're light-based teams, these Skyfalls are actually quite powerful. For Ultraman Dyna Flash, in their base form, they have 10 combo VDP, Red Rose, combo orb. They've got a bit of everything going on, I feel. And then when they are on floor 2 or earlier, you get 3 turns of haste. 3 turns of haste is quite spicy. Again, you can load it up with an inherit on top, get delayed, the base skill will still be available. And then afterwards, on floor 7 or later, you get to reduce unmatchable effects by, you fully clear unmatchable, unlock the all orbs, change the bottom row to fire orbs. The unmatchable aspect has lots of overlap with pop, and I feel like if you do have pop, you're going to want to run pop instead of this individual, especially for Seawolf teams, because the Rose and combo orb don't really do that much. But again, 3 turns of haste is nothing to scoff at. But if this doesn't look appealing, their evolve form does give double resist, 7 combo, 10 combo, potentially more skill boost, or 7 combo. So they lack void penetration, but their active skill gives you 7 turns of water orbs and fire orbs appearing locked. Then you unlock the board, and then you create a board of fire, water, light, and hearts. So I don't think this is actually accomplishing anything. So unless you just want a card with lots of resist, this form doesn't really solve many mechanics, unfortunately. But on the bright side, their weapon assist, I think, is quite powerful. Skill boost, 60% jam resist, 1 second of movement time. That can be nice if you're starved for movement time. You get a 3-turn delay and then 3 turns of movement time and a spinner. So if you don't have any of the spicier delay options available, this can definitely be a great boon to your monster box. Like, you don't have Shelling Ford, you don't have Academy Orochi. This can be a strong delay option with that skill boost and 60% jam resist. And then the movement time buff can definitely be nice. The spinner generation is helpful because you do have that bonus movement time, so you could actually take advantage of the spinners. There are many instances where you may get heavily debuffed by a floor like time, RCV, and you can delay them. This can obviously be a wonderful solution. I think on floor 2 of MD1 and Shura 3, this could be helpful because there's a good chance you could get movement time debuffed, and the delay will come in handy as well. For Taro, in their base form, they have got 7 combo, 10 combo crosses. Crosses are kind of going to waste, unfortunately. So from an Awakenings point of view, underwhelming. Not even that many Awakenings either. So yeah, that's disappointing there. For a 4-turn cooldown, if you're in floor 4 or earlier, so you can do cheesing aspects of this in the sense that you can inherit something over top, use it immediately, and then you have this active skill later on for another delay. It's a very short delay for a 4-turn cooldown when you think about it. So you can inherit a bigger delay on top of it, like a 4-turn delay, and then you can delay that spawn. Maybe you kill the floor, go to floor 2, and then get another 2-turn delay. Not bad, kind of interesting there, but again, the Awakenings feel weak. This 6-turn cooldown gives you the ability to get 50% damage, 35% damage reduction. So you have a looping shield, but Awakenings that leave much to be desired. I think they're just better looping shield options available, or just don't looping shield, just use a shorter lasting shield with better Awakenings. Their evolved form has double resist of blinded poison. They have double 7 combo with a 10 combo. They can get a VDP with red, meaningful personal damage on their sub attribute. For a 5-turn cooldown, you get to cut your health to 1, recover a bit of health every turn, which is kind of weird in that sense, kind of convoluted. Then 1 turn of void, damage void. So if you're playing a team that doesn't have good VDP damage and you need to have ways to pierce through voids, this can be helpful. Again, they do have strong personal damage, and you can pursue, you have double 7 combo, 10 combo, 4 skill boost, poison, and blind resist. Pretty valuable from an Awakenings point of view, but it's situational whether or not you actually need this void, damage void, because the other aspects don't solve mechanics necessarily. And then finally, for their weapon assist, a skill boost, team HP, so useful aspects there, and then 2 turns of attribute absorption and 2 turns of haste. So if you don't have the more premier skill boost plus 2-turn haste weapon assist, this can be meaningful. But if you do have the 10 draw weapon assist, that's just going to be the best option in most cases, unless you need color absorption right away. So situational in the sense that color absorption may not necessarily pan out, and again, the 10 draw weapon assist is just superior in most cases anyways. So I think it's nice, but I feel like I won't be using it too often because the auto heal Awakenings don't really provide much value, unfortunately. For Geed, this is going to be one of the more desirable cards to roll for from a rainbow leader or even sub point of view. So they need 28 turns to transform, and then you get 3 turns of 50% damage reduction. Not bad, not terrible. It's okay effect. It does let you have, if you're having multi-step transforming cards, or just lets you stall a little bit easier, not a bad thing overall. But when they do transform, they now become a rainbow style card with valuable Awakenings, active skill, and leader skill. So their Awakenings give you double skill charge, which means you can charge up 3 turns all the time. So this 24-turn cooldown is now 8 turns. Much faster, and that's going to provide value there. They have not 1, not 2, but not 3, but 4 attribute boost Awakenings. That's a monstrous amount of personal damage for a non-transforming card. So their main attribute will deal big damage. Their sub-attribute will deal meaningful damage as well. So they're getting close to potentially 2 damage caps total, especially against devil-type spawns where you do just way more. They have Guard Break, which is great for future when there's spawns with huge amounts of defense and you can just pierce through with relative ease. So this 8-turn cooldown gives you 1 turn of 5 times attack for this card, so they'll cap on main and sub-attribute for sure. They give you 1 turn of 75% damage reduction. We need shields basically in every given dungeon at this point, so that's a big plus there. And then 2 turns of attribute and damage absorption cancellation. That is pretty spicy when you really think about it. That is actually quite spicy overall. And the fact that you can have a shield alongside it means you save team building slots. Like, you can have ways to counter absorption. You have a shield for other parts. It comes up quickly. Meaningful active skill overall. And then the leader skill is quite strong. Remember, I like to say like 11.11 is kind of the lowest amount of effective health you really can go to be effective. And this is a bit higher, so that is meaningful. And with the fact that they're Devil and God means they can pair of Raphine. In theory, you could pair of Alexander as well because of God typing. They could be used on their respective teams as well as subs. So flexibility-wise, Geed actually can be used on basically almost any rainbow-based team except for, like, say, Valentine's Ideal who wants to have Dragon Balance. So not Valentine's Ideal, but you can use them on a wide variety of other teams. And that does give value because more flexibility. So strong sub, strong leader. And then as a leader, like I said, enough effective health to be useful. Match 4 more colors, which you're going to be doing anyways. And you then get the damage reduction and a bit of bonus combos. So strong leader, strong sub for a wide variety of rainbow teams. And then if for some reason rainbow is not something interesting to you, their weapon assist is meaningful. 2 team HPs, 2 enhanced fire orbs, if you can take advantage of them, 40% blind resist, and then on a 15 turn cooldown, you get 3 turns of damage absorption cancellation, 1 turn of 100% damage reduction, and 1 turn of bonus combos. So this is kind of like Toon World, which I think was a wonderfully strong weapon assist. You don't get the skill boost, but you get the team HPs. So for MD1, this is going to be just an incredible weapon assist. You need to have damage absorption to overcome Australis and Canna, and 3 turns gives you lots of leeway. You'll one-shot Canna, you can 2-shot Australis, you're going to have a good time. And then when you get to Blue Albert at the end, if it is Blue Albert, you can have the absorption cancellation there. Or if you get the Dark Albert, you have the 100% damage reduction to tank his hit and get more turns. Point of the matter is, it's a weapon assist that solves basically MD1. So many mechanics get solved from MD1 via this weapon assist. So if you are playing through MD1, I would encourage you to look at this weapon assist, unless, of course, this leader is going to be just the best option for you overall. And now we come to, oh, this is still 6-star, never mind, I got a little excited. So for Ultraman Trigger Multi-Type, in their base form, they're a sub-attribute only card, so they'll ping last, but they'll hit just as hard as a regular card, but that's okay because they're going to transform momentarily. So 20 turn cooldown with 2 skill boosts, they transform, then they become red. So with red sub-attribute, they do meaningful damage there. Their awakenings are double 7 combo, 10 combo, VDP, and 2 enhanced fire combos, and super jammer resist. So nice awakenings overall for mono fire teams. And on a 2-turn cooldown, you're able to get no Skyfalls, and then 1 turn of fire orbs more likely to appear, so you have just more fire orbs for the next turn. And you get to replace all orbs. So you're going to reshuffle the board, much more likely fire orbs fall down. It can be a cool way to use as a sub if you need to have more pseudo orb generation. It's another way to like get rid of locked orbs or like prog-mag boards like Indra from MD2, a full heart board preemptive. Can be a way to overcome that. The leader skill is 50% shield when matching 2 fire combos. So you're not guaranteed to have 2 fire combos, so I think this is just highly unreliable with them as leaders. So right away it makes me less inclined to want to pursue them as a leader. Maybe as a situational sub. They can deal large damage with their sub-attribute, but again, this may not be appealing, and if it's not appealing, their blue form is quite interesting. They have the Blob, they have Rose, they have Blind Resist, and Jammer Resist. So unique actives, they have Combo Orb. They want to definitely match Rose. And then with a 6-turn cooldown, you get Void, Damage, Void. And if you're at full health, it's 2 turns of Void, Damage, Void. So I can definitely see this be useful for like future like mono water teams that are Blob based. Or if you're farming stuff and you need a quick Void, Damage, Void, and you have haste to recycle it back up, it can be a potential usage in that case there. So I think it's interesting. It's unique in that sense as well. And then for the weapon assist, double team HP, 20% blind jammer, and then 4 turns on a 25-turn cooldown, 4 turns of attribute absorption and damage absorption. Again, more options for absorption cancellation is never a bad thing overall, and the double team HP does give you bulk, which is nice. For Ultraman Zero, they have too many L's. Like, Royal Oak uses Rose. And, yeah, that's just awkward overall. So, wasteful awakenings. And then on a 4-turn cooldown, you get to have potentially 2 turns of haste. That is nice. Like I said, we can do cheesy things like inheriting a delay on top of them or a bigger haste, then using another haste or delay alongside of it to recycle this active up to, again, use the haste. We can do some interesting stuff, but the awakenings just let me down. For the post-transform active skill, on a 5-turn cooldown, you get to remove all awoken skill binds, unlock the board, and change the board to fire, water, and heart orbs. So it can be a reasonable cleric if you have other ways to clear unmatchable. But again, these awakenings just make me less motivated to want to actually use them in that aspect there. For their evolved form, poison, super blind, 777 combo, only 1L. 1L is good. You'd like to have 1L because you can unlock the board now. And then on a 6-turn cooldown, you unlock the board, change the board to fire, water, light, and hearts. And then if you're on floor 5 or later, you get 3 times attack. This active skill doesn't solve problems, so it makes me less motivated to want to actually utilize them in this aspect. Like, sure, they have resist, sure, they can have skill boost, sure, they can have personal damage, but, like, they're not solving things with active skill, and we're getting to the point where we can be quite picky. And then, with that being said, you're just going to be better off with the weapon assist. Maybe I should have just started with the weapon assist, because the weapon assist is where it is at. They have a skill boost, 2 enhanced water orbs, and 40% jam resist. So nice awakenings overall for those water teams, but it's this active skill on a 24-turn cooldown that is magical. It gives you 99 turns of water skyfalls, so hot diggity damn, your water skyfalls are going to be there, and then you get 4 turns of haste. This is Genmu's weapon. And Genmu's weapon, we know for like mono dark teams, especially Blackbird, is amazing. And you might think, well, 24-turn cooldown is hard. But the thing is, Blue has something like Rix. We use Geru for Blackbird because it's a 2-turn cooldown, 26 turns to get going. We're fine with that. We have this with 24-turn cooldown. You inherit that onto Blue Rex. You now have 26-turn cooldown. If you have, say, Vione on your team, you're going to transform Vione first. Rex will be ready, and the inherit is here. Bam, 7 turns of haste. Your Royal Oaks are now fully transformed, and you're just going right away. It's valuable in dungeons where you can't delay floor 1. So, this weapon assist is amazing. I wish I could trade for it. If I could trade for this weapon assist, I would trade for this weapon assist in a heartbeat. No hesitation whatsoever. But unfortunately, you have to roll this card, which I feel like is a little frustrating. But if you do, your mono water teams are going to be so happy you did so. Next is Ultraseven, and Ultraseven is a VDP heavy card, so Saphira teams think, oh, cool. And then their active skill on a 10-turn cooldown gives you 4 turns of 75% damage reduction. Good chance you're not going to die during that 75% damage reduction. That's a lot of damage reduction. So that does aid you transforming initially. And then after they have utilized the shield, it's a 3-turn cooldown that gives you, on floor 7 or later, 1 turn of 3 times attack for light, unlock the board, and change dark to light. I don't think that's truly necessary unless you're having Saitama Saphira pairing, because Saitama doesn't give an attack buff for everyone. This at least lets you have an attack buff more often when Saphira is not available. So I think it could be useful maybe in that situation, but kind of on the fence there. Their evolved form gives you super poison, tape resist, double 7 combo, 10 combo, potentially VDP, so big personal damage there for sure. But it doesn't solve problems. Unless you need void damage, void. But again, Saphira Saitama teams are probably going to be VDPing anyways, so active skill isn't solving problems. For their weapon assist, it's 60% poison resist, team HP, L. Again, it's a unique combination of awakenings. And then on a 13-turn cooldown, you get a 75% damage reduction, and then a 7 times attack for the owning card, and then a 2-turn delay. Like, it's interesting in that sense. Like, it does a couple of different stuff. Having a weapon assist that gives a shield and delay is nice because you oftentimes could delay at the beginning and then oftentimes will need a shield later on. It gives you a bit more flexibility in aspect. And then again, the awakenings are useful. And now we come to these 7-star cards. And all the 7-star cards are monster exchangeable. So, if you didn't get Gung Ho Belial, you can pick up Ultraman Belial. And Ultraman Belial is ironically a cleric, which you could exchange for. So, like, their base form has, like, lots of 7 combos, cross, potentially VDP. On floor 4 earlier, you get 3-turn delay on a 5-turn cooldown, which is pretty fast when you think about it. And then if you're on floor 7 or later, you'll get to do 5% gravity, unlock the board, makes Dark Heart, Jammer. Like, it's not going to be that spectacular. It's really their evolved form that we want because it's a cleric, lo and behold. So, Gung-Ho Belial is a great cleric with super poison resist. Ultraman Belial is another great cleric that has the super poison and a cloud resist and the same number of skill boosts, but unlike Gung-Ho Belial, you're not a healing solution, you do have skill bind resist, and you actually have meaningful personal damage, especially with a sub-attribute that's dark. So, I can definitely see this card being utilized on basically any mono dark team. It's a devil type, and any devil type team, which tends to be dark, can utilize them well, and they're a full cleric that gives you a unmatchable clear, all awoken skill binds, and then a 50% damage reduction. So not regular binds, but the fact that it doubles as your shield means you have flexibility. And you have flexibility in the sense that you can clear these awoken binds and unmatchable, and then you have the shield to tank big problematic hits later on. I like that when your cleric does something useful on top of it. And the fact that they're 4 skill boosts with meaningful personal damage just gives them more usage overall. And the sub-attribute can deal large amounts potentially because it is a dark sub-attribute and it's easy to stack damage. So as a whole, strong cleric. If you don't have a good dark cleric, I would consider picking up this card in all honesty. It's going to solve many problems. And again, Blackbird teams do not need a healing solution. So Gung-Ho Belial's Awakenings just kind of go to waste in that sense. Whereas Ultraman Belial's are just doing more damage. More is more. I like that overall. And then if for some reason you can't utilize them as a cleric, which I think is odd because it's a good cleric, their weapon assist gives you a skill boost, double team HP, which is strong, and then you get 1 spinner and then 2 turns of 75% damage reduction and clears all awoken skill binds. I think it's a bit more of a situational weapon. I would much prefer to utilize them as a cleric, as a sub, and even if they do get leader swapped, it's not bad. They still have enough effective health that you're not just going to splat out and die, assuming you actually had mostly devils on your team. For Ultraman Tiga power, they are a transforming card in their base form with 3 skill boosts, and then after 28 turns, they transform. No spicy effect, unfortunately, but when they do transform, they have 4 7 combos, VDP, and triple enhanced fire orbs. Triple enhanced fire combos. That's a ton of personal damage and passive damage. I wish his sub-attribute was actually fire, so you could actually, do meaningful damage there, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. Their active skill gives you a 1.5 times attack buff, and then unlocks the board and gives you the top row fire. So you're guaranteed to have 6 fire orbs on 6x5. So their leader skill is just enough, I feel, to be functional, and they need 2 fire combos. So dual Tiga leaders guarantee activation, but unlike Nautilus, Seawolf, etc., they don't make hard orbs. So you won't be able to heal while matching orbs, potentially. And there's definitely a bit of a drawback. So as a leadership potential, definitely lower in that aspect. But you could argue that if you're a mono fire team that doesn't have a good attack buff on a regular basis, this can be a meaningful sub just for that aspect, just to have orb generation and the looping attack buff. But I feel like as a leader, the fact that it doesn't make hearts is going to make it a little bit harder by comparison. For their evolved blue form, it's complete different direction. They give you a super poison, super blind, super blind, super poison, super jammer. And then you have 7 combos and an L and more skill boost potentially. And then on a 4-turn cooldown, you get a water skyfall buff and clears all awoken binds and locks water orbs. So you can save yourself against spinners. But the big benefit, I feel, is that you can utilize them in conjunction with an unmatchable clear as your cleric. So a good example I can think off the top of my head is Vione. Vione does clear unmatchable. Vione has super blind. So in conjunction with Tiga's sky type, you have all the resists covered. You have a way to clear unmatchable and awoken binds. If you don't have blue Albrecht, it could be a weird pseudo workaround, and they still do meaningful personal damage. So I think it's a reasonable strong blue cleric if you have a way to deal with unmatchable, but without the unmatchable clear, it's not reliable enough. Their leader skill actually is 16 times effective health. They don't get bonus combos, but they do have monstrous auto-follow attack. You're given 15 seconds flat movement time, but you have to match 3 water combos. 3 water combos is just not really going to... that's hard. It's hard to have that, especially when their active skill doesn't make water orbs. So you need to have a reliable orb generator, but 9 water orbs is actually a hard thing to generate. So kind of awkward there as a leader. For their weapon assist, it is triple team HP with 2 light rows, and then 10 turns of light skyfalls, a heavy light skyfall. Very heavy light skyfall for 10 turns. And then 1 turn of 100% shield, and then clears all awoken binds. So for your mono light teams, if you need another way to clear awoken binds on demand, or you just want to have bulk and maybe if it overcharges, cool. Interesting aspect overall. And now we come to Ultraman, the final card of this event. And Ultraman in their base form has double 10 combo and an L. So they can have meaningful personal damage. And then on a 4-turn cooldown, if you're on floor 3 or earlier, you get 3-turn delay. Again, I feel like you can definitely cheese a 4-turn cooldown pretty easily with other delays, haste, so you might be able to get even more leverage out of it when you want to transform. And then if you're on floor 7 or later on a 6-turn cooldown, you get 2 turns of attribute absorption cancellation, unlocks the board and makes a board of light, fire, and hard orbs. Attribute absorption, I feel like, is, again, most prominent going to be in, like, MD2, but I guess you can make arguments in Shura 2 as well. I guess I could have said that for all the other ones, because Shura 2 does have some attribute absorption, and this can be a nice way to circumnavigate that. So, as a whole, reasonable card overall for your mono light teams, potentially in that aspect there. In their transform state, they have Super Blind and Super Jammer, 7 combo, 10 combo cross, potentially 4 skill boosts or a VDP. So, respectable awakenings. Their active skill is if you're floor 3 or later, unlock the board and make a row of light. I'm not super impressed with this active skill. I feel like you could get more out of it for sure. Like, just give me like an RCV buff or a time buff. Something, or a little shield, something to make it a little zestier. Not particularly exciting there. But their weapon assist is meaningful. A skill boost, team HP, team RCV, 2 enhanced light orbs, and then a 15-turn cooldown where you get to have 50% damage reduction, 3 turns of orb movement time buff, and then 3 turns of damage absorption cancellation. This is great. I like to have, like, say in Shura 3, the damage absorption to overcome the absorption floor. And then I'm going to need damage reduction for Hexazeon. I cover both aspects there. I have skill boost, team HP, team RCV. If you don't have a strong absorption cancellation card, this definitely can be a worthwhile weapon assist to pick up because you can monster exchange for it and only costs 5 6-star Godfest exclusive is definitely worthwhile. If you don't have any other of the zestier absorption cancellation cards, like say Boar Helmets, Saitama's Gloves, etc., this can be a meaningful card to have overall and is definitely worth monster exchanging for. So, with that being said, those are all the Ultraman cards in the Rare Machine. I definitely feel like this event is worth rolling in at least maybe 5 to 8 times just to pick up new cards because at least half of the bottom rarity I wouldn't mind acquiring because 3 dungeon bonus awakenings or the double blob cards for swipe farming efficiency is meaningful. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this collab in the comments down below. Do you think it's worth rolling in or are you planning to just like, well, roll modestly or just monster exchange and forget about it? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best like your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.